Hey, and welcome to today's episode. Now, today I want to talk to you a little bit about your profile and how it's super important to understand whether you have a personal profile or a transpersonal profile when it comes to business. So, the truth is that our profile is our how we learn, how we move through life, how we work things out, how we serve, what people want from us. And in the original knowledge, Ra called it the costume of our purpose. I like to call it our how. It really is the two most significant themes of how we move through life. So, one of the things that I think, especially in business, we have been so conditioned to focus on service and what we can do for others and giving, which of course is all brilliant and noble and needed and important. However, depending on our profile, we need to be conscious of where our primary focus is. Let me give you an example. I am a personal profile. How do you know? Well, if you have the small number before the big number, so I am a 3, 5, maybe you're a 1, 3, or a 2, 4. If you have the small number before the big number, then you're a personal profile. That means that your personality, your consciousness, it is about you. Your primary focus is about you. Now, if you're a transpersonal profile, then you're going to have the big number first. The big number is all about the other. Okay. So if you have it as the first number, that's your personality, what you're conscious of, then you're actually going to be someone who's more focused on the other, almost to initiate or respond or be inspired by. Okay. So what does that mean for business? If you are a personal profile like me, for example, then you are going to be primarily driven by your own personal journey first. And that in itself kind of breaks the whole idea that business should be all about service, right? Especially in an industry where well, yes, the service industry, but around coaching and spirituality and online programs and healing modalities. We think, oh my God, it has to be about the other. It has to be how I serve the other. And although that is absolutely important and fundamental, it's not your primary driver as a personal profile. So I'll give you my story, an example of that, as an example of that. So as a 3-5, as many of you will know if you've been listening for a while, at my Saturn return around 28, I was diagnosed with depression and panic disorder. And I was given this diagnosis and told that I was never going to heal from it. And in that moment, I'm like, well, yes, I am. I'm either going to find a way to heal it, or in my world, I could not live the rest of my life this way. So I kind of felt like I had two choices, and one that really wasn't a choice, and the other was like, okay, this might be hard, but I'm going to work it out. And I knew if I could work out effectively how I got there to that place, to that diagnosis, then I could work out how to get out of it. And of course, we now know I was right and I could do exactly that. And I went on to heal my mental health and, well, completely transform my life. But that's a whole nother story. Now, as I move through this journey, number one, my initiation into my purpose. Now, my purpose is something that serves all of you listening. It serves all of my readers. It serves all of my listeners. It serves all of my community. However, it all was birthed with my mental health journey. Now, as I traveled along that pathway, I got super curious about, obviously, when you have mental health issues, you want to understand the subconscious mind. You want to understand psychology. You want to understand, personal and behavioral development. How can I change my behavior? Why do I do what I do? And how can I change what I do? Then, of course, for me personally, I then got interested in things like quantum physics. I wanted to understand the greater universe and my part in it and how I could work with it. And, I think at the time how I could manipulate it in a positive way, not a negative way. And ultimately, at each turn, it was always about me until ultimately it came to human design. So again, I went off, I walked the Camino, I asked the universe, hey, universe, I have this hole that I call my purpose. I need it filling. And then, as many of you know, the story goes on and human design showed up. So then my business transformed from being this corporate C-suite workshops, behavioral performance coaching, leadership coaching, and it transferred into human design. And why did my podcast take off so quickly? Because I was sharing my journey of human design. Now, in all the iterations of my personal and spiritual development, my creation of the business, each turn has been initiated by me, by my path. Okay? Make sense? If you're a transpersonal profile, then I'm going to use Taylor, my COO, as an example. She's a 5-1. So, of course, all of a sudden, the transpersonal profile line, the 4, the 5, the 6, versus the personal profile line, the 1, the 2, the 3, comes first. It's on the personality side, it's the conscious. So, it's the primary driver. So, with Taylor's journey, it's really different, as in, what was quite interesting is that it was people outside of Taylor. So even if you know our initial story, it was a private client of mine and a friend of Taylor's that saw my email that I was looking for a virtual assistant. And she said, hey, you'd be really great for this. And there's a whole serendipitous story. Obviously, I hired Taylor. And then her whole journey, and honestly, I think where she is now, she's one of the leading strategy and marketing people on the planet, especially for online business, has been about, okay, well, what's your vision, Emma? I'm going to make this happen. Now, it's not to say that she gives away any power, because what she does is she brings her energy to it because it lights her up, because she sees the mission. Let's take human design mainstream, but also like, okay, let's make this business long term. Let's be market leaders. Let's create in alignment with our design. Let's get rid of the bullshit sales, the old sales way, the old marketing way. And as we go through this process, she keeps getting almost initiated by the other being me. Now, it's not to say that it's not about her journey, because she loves what she does. Like, she is the epitome of, like, she's the master at what she does, just like I am the master at what I do. So it's not taking away from her because she's a transpersonal, but that's how she prefers to work, to be, okay, what is this thing out there that I want to move towards or create something for, or it's the out there that is initiating her, what I call greatness, through her alignment. Now, that doesn't mean, by the way, if your ego is jumping in at this point and going, well, does that mean I don't get to be the visionary, the face of my business? Absolutely not. Doesn't mean you can or you can't be anything. You know how I am, especially, I don't want human design to put you in a box at all. If you're the visionary, you're the visionary. Your design is perfectly created for you to fulfill that purpose. But when we then look at our business, this is such a cool thing to play with. If you think about the way that Taylor, as a 5-1, is designed, she almost falls into the old kind of programming, the old kind of conditioning better than I do, especially as a woman. What do I mean by that? Well, she's very like, how can I serve the other? How can I solve for the other? The line 5. What foundations do I need to build? What details do I need? Line 1, for the other. Whereas for me, it's really been so much about my journey. So each pivot I've taken with my business or with this business, it's been about something that lights me up. I'm going to give you an example. So there is so much talk about the vagus nerve out there with personal and spiritual development, okay? For healing. Like it's big, big conversation. And to be honest, I've always been like, yeah, I get it, but I do not, my MG, my sacral, it's just not lit up by it. Like I know enough to know enough, but it's never been something I want to learn more about because it's not been relevant to me personally. Now, interestingly, I discovered recently that I have a hypersensitive vagus nerve. And what happens is it's actually really close to my vocal cords. And there's actually a part that goes in my ear. So when I clean my right ear, I cough. And when I project from my throat and not my belly, I cough. And if you know me, if you've been following my stuff, you see that I cough, right? Now, one of the things for me at the moment is I'm like, okay, well, I need to learn to speak differently, breathe differently. And I have a plan in place for that. And of course, so much of it is about being able to relax the throat because that directly affects my vagus nerve. It also is really one of the challenges I've had in the gym over the years is my neck. My neck jumps in all the time. It's all connected to this thing that I experience through my throat, but it's connected to my neck and shoulders as well. So all of a sudden I'm like, oh, project, I'm fascinated, I'm interested. So I'm going in that direction. And look, the odds are, if history is anything to go by, the more I learn, the more I'll share. I know for sure I'll share it on my unfiltered podcast, my secret podcast. So this is how I've kind of grown my business. When there's something in my life that comes up and I get curious about it, my line 3 goes and experiences it, experiments with it. And then my line 5 wants to take all of the things that I've learned, the solutions, the leadership out to my community, to my listeners, to my readers, to my people. Now, if you're a transpersonal person, let's say in this example, let's say same deal. I said to T, hey, I got to work this throat thing out. She'd be like, dude, I'm going down the rabbit hole. And she'll go and find out all the things. And then she'll come back to me and go, hey, so I found out all of these things. So let's say this is your business. These understanding your personal profile versus your transpersonal profile is a way to know, hey, am I in alignment? Am I focusing on my journey, personal, or am I being inspired by someone else to go and learn or experiment or serve or whatever it is by someone out there? Pretty cool, huh? So I invite you, I encourage you, I give you something to respond to. Why don't you go and have a look at your business, at your life, and have a look where perhaps you're in alignment with your personal or transpersonal profile. And then let's have a look where maybe you're conditioned and you're going against your particular profile. Of course, you want to quit that shit and you want to come back into alignment. Once more, what is alignment? It is speaking, thinking, feeling, and acting all in the same direction. So are you in alignment? That's it for today. I trust you got what you needed, and I so look forward to having you on the next one. Bye for now.